Hello, my name is acbtheman, and welcome to Radio Epic. Number 4, and I have a big list of people who are on here with me this week. So first off, we have Something 4. How are you doing? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm primarily PvP Guardian. I joined Epic thanks to ABC roughly about 2 months ago now. It's been fun. I'm a day one Guardian, I guess. There's not much to me. I love PvP. That's pretty much what I do.
Well, nice. In addition to Something 4, we also have theanimalchinn. How are you doing? And tell us a little bit about yourself when you play Destiny.
I'm doing great. I am a since beta player. PvE is my main thing in Destiny. Raids, you name it. I don't do a lot of PvP, but every now and then I'll jump into some. I'm just not that great at it, so I stick with PvE mainly.
Well, if you want to get a little bit better in PvP, I'll have something later I'll be promoting on here. And then next we have kshep. Kshep, how are you doing? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm fine. I'm, I guess, a recovering PC gamer, Half-Life, Call of Duty, Minecraft guy who got Destiny for Christmas in 2014, played it for a day after, Saturday after Christmas, had no thumb skills whatsoever, put it away for a year until my nephew got the game, and then picked it up in November 2015, and I guess I haven't really quit playing since, mostly PvE, grinding some PvP, Iron Banner, and a couple characters to just light level up, but mostly, and just got into Epic, Orphan Galaxy, recovered, saved me from LFG after I started to play with other people about 6 months ago or so, and have very much enjoyed my time with Epic.
Nice. You need to keep listening, because kshep and I will definitely be having a, hopefully not as heated argument, but we'll be having an argument later. And finally, we have Doc Shenanigans. How are you doing, man?
Doing good as usual.
Well, good. Well, we know Doc Shenanigans from before, but welcome everyone else who is new to the podcast. So, first thing, we don't really have a lot of news this week, except that as May gets closer, as May 18th specifically gets closer, Bungie has sent out invitations to some of the bigger, more popular YouTubers and told them to come to their headquarters, and they will get to play Destiny 2 on the 18th of May, and I am insanely jealous.
I think the biggest thing that is going to be is they're not going to have anything. Like, it's going to be like day one all over again. None of those legendaries that we had. Like, it's going to be completely different, and they're going to look... They're going to be fumbling around like idiots, just like we were when we first started. And I think that's going to be the best part of the entire demo.
As much as they are, it's still going to be something new. And so they're going to give us something that is going to pique our interest. So are they going to do like a story thing? Or are they going to just do like PvP and say, oh, look, your new ability? I mean, they're going to do something that's going to draw us in. So what do you guys think that's going to be?
Well, I mean, if you look at the original Destiny reveal from like E3, what was it, 2015 or 20? No, it must have been like 2013 E3. The game that they showed then was not even close to what we see today. I mean, hell, the Warlock could frickin' void bomb every like 20 seconds. So I think that whatever we're gonna see is gonna be very close to an unfinished product, and I'm sorry about that. That was my headset. I gotta plug that in.
Yeah, I'll bet you'll see graphics, you'll see terrain, you'll see what the HUD looks like, probably some abilities, some weapons, but I don't expect it to be like new lore or new storyline, or I'll bet it will be very basic gameplay.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think we're going to see something that's going to be drastically different from when the game launches, because we're going to be 4 months away, you know. For Destiny 1, they had a year to do their story rewrites and changes or whatever that they had to do, but I don't think we're going to see any of that here.
Probably very similar to what they ended up doing for the Destiny 1 release. They'll have their little run through, just kind of showing off their characters, different abilities, and all that kind of encounters that you might end up seeing in the game. I think that'll probably what they'll do.
Are any of you tempted to not watch it and just try to ignore all the Destiny 2 video and just put the disc in or download it and just launch the game up and see it fresh?
No, I can't.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Especially with the beta coming out.
Yeah, the beta, and then hell, I'm on this thing where I just want to finish. Like, as soon as I get 100% in my record book, I'm gonna order that T-shirt, and I'm probably gonna put Destiny 1 away, like for the rest, for forever, pretty much. Like, because at this point, the game has been 3 years, and I'm at like this. I'm done, so I'm ready. I'm really ready to move on to the next game.
So then what are they going to bring to us that's going to excite us? Because if it's not brand new abilities, then it's got to be gameplay elements. Maybe they'll show us like a patrol with some new enemies. But what is going to excite me on the 18th if it's pretty much, oh, your Guardians are slightly different. This is how you shoot things now. They did say something like the YouTubers I've watched, like I watched Holtzman and Dado, and they had something that said, "Welcome to a world without light." So it's like it's still kind of dragging us to and still hyping up Destiny 2. But will they show us something that's going to be drastically different to pull us in, or is this just going to be, hey, look, it's prettier, it's a new game?
No, I think they're going to have to show us something that's a little bit different and new. I think they're going to probably show some PvE and PvP, because you got to remember they're also going to be trying to draw in the PC crowd here. And I think the majority of the PC crowd is going to be interested in PvP. So I think we're probably going to see some of that.
I think if open world is a big part of it, if it's not just these pre-planned tracks that we're taking to get from one area of a patrol to another, I think they'll probably play that up a bunch, where you're on your Sparrow or whatever other vehicle you've got cruising along, and you roll up into a tower-like area and go to a kiosk and maybe join a fire team with somebody else. And I would expect them to play that up if it's a part of the game.
Well, they did mention that the entirety of Destiny 1's playable area is one section of, or the equivalent of one planet, right? So I feel like the first thing they're gonna do is just give us a tour of one area, just go all the way around, just to give us this sense of scope that they couldn't really give us in the first game. I mean, the first game, it seemed bigger than it really was. I remember going around the Cosmodrome for the first month, not actually knowing what I was doing, and then after I knew exactly where everything was and how to get everywhere, felt so much smaller. They mentioned so much about how much the game is going to give you the openness. So I feel like definitely what you said, that they're going to show the new social areas and definitely emphasize how big the game is now.
Well, kshep mentioned one thing that I've heard a couple different people say, or a couple different people speculate, of potentially social areas inside the open world. And I heard someone else, another content creator, say, think of Skyrim, where you could just roll up into a town and start talking to people. And granted, there was a loading for most towns, but you could roll up into town, start talking to somebody, leave that town, and start fighting bad guys. So I really like that idea. The idea of it being bigger, didn't really think about Destiny being that small until you just said something about it. So I guess that could be their big stick. I'm just hoping for something that is, here it is, here's Destiny 2. It's not just the same game, and I think they're going to bring it. I think they're going to I think they're not going to pull any punches with this. So
it's probably hard for us to think of things that they could do. I mean, since we're so tied to Destiny 1 and all the limitations of the legacy consoles, going to orbit every time you want to go to the tower, I suspect that's a legacy console issue, and that with Xbox One or PS4 that wouldn't be a problem, and you'd be able to do more. You'd be able to do cleaner transitions. So, who knows?
I know that load times on the legacy consoles are an issue. It was always an issue. Like I remember reading stories about people trying to do Axis in year one when they had to do the burns, and the only viable strategy was basically pull out your Galahorns, use all your rockets, and then quickly open your inventory and use the heavy synth and use all your more rockets. And if you were on a legacy console, it would take too long to open your inventory, and you would just die.
I was on 360 until December of last year, and I can tell you that just trying to go to your inventory, you'd sit there for 30 seconds trying to change something out or pop a heavy, and it's not so long ago that I don't remember the pain.
Well, as much as it sucks now to try to change a weapon, you sit there and you're like, just load. Just load.
Yeah, it feels like it takes forever.
And so thinking about hopefully with the new new structure, I think we talked about this in episode 1, but they said they kind of had like a spaghetti code where they had like one bit of code for everything, and that's why they broke all health regen perks, is because they had like one bit of code essentially for everything, and your bit of game said, oh, I want to use that now, and then would let go so they could fit it on the RAM of the old console. So hopefully they just have more code and smoother code to make things run a whole lot better.
Hopefully with them bringing PCs into the fold too, that should really... I'd like to see them harness that.
You talk about the PC, I'm just hoping that they don't completely fuck up with the stupid PS4 exclusives again. Like, I mean, looking back at the PS4 exclusives, there wasn't something that I really wanted. I mean, other than the Hawkmoon was the only thing that I actually wanted from the PS4. Like, if you look back at everything the PS4 guys had that was exclusive, because we're all Xbox gamers here, right? So, like, can you look back and say it's something other than the Hawkmoon that you actually wanted? Because I think back and I think the Undying Mind Strike is like, hell no.
After we played it, maybe not, but at the time, I wanted it just so I could have something else to do.
Yeah, I know. And then you look back and it's like there were a couple extra maps that I don't know. There's already like 40 maps in Destiny, so 40. There's like 30. And
we play 4.
Yeah, yes, that's a separate issue. But there's no. I just hope that if they do these exclusives again, it's not like game breaking. Like I don't want the good guns like the Hawkmoon to be exclusive. Give them the thing like it's cool. Give them the Fourth Horseman. That's great. No one ever uses the Fourth Horseman. It's a cool looking gun. It's a great thing for an exclusive, but it's absolutely worthless in every other scenario.
Well, sadly, they have already announced sort of PS4 exclusives again, and they said that they will be showing off the PS4 and PC version on the 18th. Nothing about the Xbox One version on the 18th. So they are still heavily leaning Sony side, and they want to show off PC on the 18th, so people will come and say, "Ooh, look, PC," which I'm really hoping. I'm not a PC player. I'm not going to jump over there. But I'm really hoping that they have a good PC team that can make it a PC game and not just be a port of the console version. I hope they do not do that.
I think it's just going to be a port of the console game, honestly. I don't think the PC version is going to be infinitely better than the console versions that we get. I hope that both will do 60 frames per second. I think that's a big handicap for the game we currently have. And, with Scorpio coming and with PS4 Pro, there's really no excuse for them not to do 60 frames on this next one.
Well, hopefully that was a limitation of the old systems. But what I'm saying is I hope they knock the PC version out of the park, so that way we don't have a whole lot of people ragging on it. I mean, even for us Xbox guys who kind of are going to be like third tier now, hopefully we don't have a third or more of our community just ragging on how bad. We already have that when every time they do an update, half the community is on Reddit, like the vocal minorities on Reddit saying how bad it is. Hopefully that's not a kind of PC thing. So I'm hoping the PC version's good, even though I wish they would show off all 3 versions.
I want number one thing with all these versions. I want cross character like play. Like I don't care whether or not I can play um on Xbox like in Crucible against some people on the PS4, but I'd love to be able to take my Xbox character and play the same character on my PC.
I agree.
That's the number one thing. Like it doesn't matter whether or not you can play people. Like if I'm on my Xbox, I don't necessarily want to be playing PC people, but I want to be able to say, "Hey, I have friends, I have PC gaming friends and I have Xbox gaming friends. I'd love to be able to take the same character that I use on Xbox and play with PC people because I know a lot of people. I mean, there's some guys in our group who converted from PlayStation and pretty much had to restart the entire thing. It'd be so much nicer if you could just take your character and just go from one to the other because your character is already saved on Bungie servers and you already can match your Xbox Live account with your Bungie.net profile. Why can't we do that with like our PSN and everything so our character just translates? It would be really nice.
I can't imagine them giving you cross-character compatibility between PlayStation and Xbox, but I could imagine Xbox and PC. And I wonder, are there any other Microsoft games right now where you can do that, where any content is shared between PC and
Gears of War, Halo Wars, Rocket League.
But the thing that we're talking about, though, is their systems on Bungie.net and outside of Xbox Live service has some information. And I don't know how hard it would be for them to do, but like save a snapshot of my latest connection from, say, Xbox on their servers. So I log off of my Xbox. I then go to my PS4 and log on to my PS4 account, and it grabs it from Bungie server and not from Xbox Live. And so that may be harder to do than anything like that. But if like my character snapshot is on Bungie.net, and it's not exactly there, but if it's on their servers, then wherever I log in from these three places can pull it and say, hey, I would like to use that information. That way you don't have to have 9 characters if you choose to do all 3, or more if they allow more characters. That way you don't have to start over if you have a good buddy who joins and says, I don't really want to play on Xbox, I want to play PC because I'm a PC guy. I have a really good buddy who definitely will pick it up on PC who stopped playing after like year 2, and I know that it's going to be a pain to try to go and play with him. But if I can grab the PC and pull my Xbox character over and be at a good, decent level, it'd be so much easier.
Well, the data's all there. I mean, there are a dozen different third-party tools right now where you can go look at all your vault contents and what your character's appearance looks like. So, I mean, it's all data you could pull out wherever you want it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all up to Bungie doing it. It's not any individual, unless it's like specifically against Activision's contract or something or Sony's contract with Activision. But like saying that you can't do it, I mean, all I think about is see, back in my like middle school, I played this MMO called RuneScape. You may have heard of it. But back then, there was things that if you were a member, you paid for the game basically. There were certain things you couldn't have when you were logged into a free-to-play server, and they were like members objects, which would think that you could easily do that if you say if you were a PS4 player who had PS4 gear, and then you logged in like a PC or an Xbox, you'd just basically be locked out of that stuff. Like you couldn't use it. They'd be like PS4 objects, right? They'd just you're unable to use them. But I mean, it's 100% doable. It's whether or not they actually do it is the question. I mean, it's been floating around the forums, all that stuff. I mean, I feel like I see it on the Destiny Reddit like once a week, asking Bungie to make sure that we can move our characters across platforms. And it's just a huge thing, especially because I know specifically that it's so much that I would use it, especially for Xbox and PC. I mean, you look at the streamers, how many almost every like big time streamer maintains both Xbox and PS4 just so they can interact with their fans, because it's such a pain to like, because you have to have both, because you can't transfer. So like, just look back at that. Just to have to maintain 6 characters, that's insane. The amount of work to do for a normal person.
And time.
I can barely find enough time to do 1 character.
Well, and it would be easier, like you were talking about streamers, it'd be easier for them to just say, oh, I have this amazing character on PS4, let me jump into Xbox and have the same character and help people there, instead of saying, well, let me pull my Xbox out, let me see where my character is. Or even like you said, we had clan members, I think some dude and some lady started on PS4
Yes.
and came over, and they said they had to completely do everything again. So...
Well, I think there's one thing that'll keep them from doing that, and that's money. If we have, microtransactions, I don't think we'll ever see that.
Oh, fuck it. I'll buy a PC version and an Xbox version. I don't care. Like,
no, I mean, yeah, but let's say you buy something, from Eververse. Is that going to transfer across platform too? Because
because your money is going to go to them anyways. They don't care if they get it from PS4 or from Xbox. I mean, as long as it's not the PS4 exclusive, which they could just lock on the other system and say you don't have access to it. And we say this is easy. It may be a little bit more difficult for them to actually do this, but as long as they get your money, where does it matter where you spent the Eververse? It's still money going towards Activision and Bungie.
No, I agree. Yeah, but like I'm a player that does play. I play mainly on Xbox One, but I do also have 3 characters on PlayStation 4. And I've spent money on both consoles as far as in-game purchases. So, yeah, I think they look at it as if you could do cross-platform, they might be losing a little bit of money in-game.
Well, I think the benefits of good PR would outweigh the potential, and I'm not a financial guy, but I would assume the good PR would outweigh the.
Yeah, if the game's good enough and they can maintain a big player base and keep players there, then it wouldn't be an issue.
I mean, I can say right now that I would buy it if I could use the same character on like PC and Xbox. I would buy both versions, but if I couldn't, I would only buy one version, because I'm not going to play like a shit like enough to be worth on both accounts. Like I can't go through the entire game like I can't. Okay, got to beat the raid this week on Xbox. Okay, well now it's Wednesday. I got to beat it on PC. That's That's like it's a little too much. I mean, I have a job, and I mean, I have a life, is what we say, right? But it'd be nice to just be able to do that. I mean, I haven't maintained my other 2 characters since year 1, because now there's actually shit to do. By the way, this isn't a PG podcast, is it?
No, don't worry about it.
Okay, good. So yeah, there's shit to do every week, like all week. Like for one character, I can't do all my Crucible bounties and all my like Shiro bounties, all my like strike bounties, then go ahead and do all the raids and like the Prison of Elders and trials. Like that's so much stuff to do. If you're just trying to complete all of your weeklies right now, you're probably looking at like 40 hours a week. Like it's fucking insane.
Well, see, I've resorted to picking a character per week, essentially, where I'm a Warlock main right now, but I will have a week where I'm just like, you know what, I got to play my Hunter this week and ignore my Titan and Warlock, and that's just for me specifically, and I bet that's the same way with a lot of people who try to do that.
That's exactly what I do, too. Just rotate them every week.
Trying to do 6 would be, even 2 per week is a bunch, so.
Yeah, it is. It's a big time sink. I mean, I still get on and do all 3 characters, do the weekly raid, try to get the challenges done. But see, I also stream, so that's a big part of it because it always gives me something to do while I'm streaming. But I think back to how hard it was in year one just to get through the raid and everything. And I didn't concentrate on 3 characters early on because it was so hard just to get that first character leveled up. And I kind of want it to go back to that, honestly. I want it to be more of a challenge.
Okay.
I want to have the chase.
I'm gonna have to stop you there because if you weren't a Forever 29, you can go fuck yourself for saying that.
This is that goddamn helmet.
I was Forever 29, and honestly, I enjoyed that time in Destiny more than any other.
Yeah.
I
absolutely hated the fact that I could not, as a Forever 29, I did not get anything other than the boots from the raid after doing it like every week. And for like the last 3 weeks before Crota's End came out, I did it twice a week, and I only got the boots. And after, like, it's just when you do that, and then you're the one who as a Forever 29, you can carry yourself through the raid. There's no way you can carry somebody else if you're not 30 in that kind of state. Like, you're such a huge disadvantage that just not being a negative on your team is enough as a 29. And then you get these level 30s who can't even stay alive. And
well, that's why they changed up the system. That's why when they went in year 2, they kind of had it to where you have the light level system, so that way if you're not max level, you can still contribute, and you don't feel like you're missing something. Like if for example, you're missing essentially your helmet. I think is what everyone was looking for. And for me personally, I never really had that problem. I jumped into really the actual gaming of it and thinking about and listening to podcasts and actually playing it beyond anything when Crota came out. By the time Crota came out, you could do Iron Banner and get up to 32. But I understand what you're saying. But the way they have it now, if they keep something like that, but make it to where you have to do some of the in-game content, either like the Iron Banner or the Raid or Archon's Forge or something in-game to get the high level, you could still make it difficult to get the high level, but not as impossible as year 1 had it.
Yeah, just not make it to where, with before you had to do Vault of Glass to get to level 30. That was it. And I'm okay with having other ways to get to the top level, but I still want something to chase after, whether it's that ultimate weapon like Gjallarhorn was. I've never been as excited as I was when I finally got a Gjallarhorn to drop after 6 months of playing the game.
That's fine, but it's just when they define, the problem was defining your level based on what drops you got was really, really bad.
Yeah, another issue with that is that it became a requirement too.
It made RNG a requirement. And the Gjallarhorn was great, and it wasn't necessary though. Like, it wasn't the only thing in your it wasn't the be all end all of a raid. Like, it was great to have, but it wouldn't completely and totally destroy your ability to complete something.
Oh, no, absolutely, yeah.
But that's what not being level 30 was. It completely ruined the experience for you. And that's something they need to never do again.
Well, I don't think they will, but I do think maybe for the first little bit to hit maximum light or maximum level, you have to do something in game or something at the end, so that way not everyone you still have something to chase after, but we won't have that situation again.
Well, I'm okay with them forcing you to do endgame content. I'm just not okay with them forcing you to get lucky with the endgame content. That's the annoying part. Like, when RNG just decides to give you a giant middle finger, it's so annoying, because there's nothing you can't just look at me and tell me the reason I'm not level 30 is because I'm not fucking good enough. That is one of the things that always pissed me off. Is like, you would look at back before Epic, you'd go on all the websites looking for a group, and they'd be like, "Oh, yeah, you're not level 30. Well, fuck you." Well, it's like, yeah, I'm not level 30 because no one will fucking take me into the group.
Or don't have Galahorn.
Yeah, yeah, that too.
That's a whole nother subject. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but I just hope that whatever they do, they need to make it. It's okay to have the gear restriction, but just don't make it so like what they have now, where there's so many opportunities to get level. There's so many opportunities to get level whatever it is, level 300, 400, that it's not an issue, but it's an issue in like it is an issue when there aren't that many ways to get 400, like or level 30 back in the day, or level 32, right?
It sounds like they're going to have sort of a combination. Well, my best guess is they're going to have a combination where it's going to be beginning of the game, so there's not a lot of avenues to do it, but there's going to be more than one, or at least I would hope they would have more than one at the very beginning. So that way you're not, man, I don't want to do the raid or can't do the raid or whatever, and you know.
Yeah, I think so. I think they'll have more than one way to get there. That's one of the things that has worked pretty well in year 2. But I do think it's probably been here lately. It's been a little too easy to get to max light. They just need to make it a little bit harder, I think. But you know, I know a lot of people that they got to 400 and they're like, I don't want to do it anymore. You know, I'm done.
What was that, Doc? You were saying something?
Oh, I think that's just recently, especially, that's just part of their send off. They're trying to be like, hey, here's all that shit that you didn't get earlier. Just, you can have it. Whatever.
All right, guys. Well, I have another. That was actually a good 30-minute talk about essentially May 18th. But I have another bit of news, and this shouldn't take as long. If you have a new iPhone, the Bungie Companion app now has stickers for your chat. So there are now Destiny stickers in your iPhone chat.
I'm kind of jealous of this, actually. I don't have an iPhone, but just the fact that it has that makes me want one.
I have an iPhone 4 due to circumstances, and I can't get it, so I'm just jealous too. I don't know. I thought that was the most interesting piece of information for me this week from This Week at Bungie, and I laughed because like stickers on your chat is the most interesting information. We are just waiting for May 18th.
Oh my God.
Well, I guess technically some people say that the other languages in the forum are good, but I don't.
That seems like a staple.
American's the only language I never need.
Well, it should have already. I mean, it should have already been there. But I'm glad they're adding all these other languages so they can bring other people in. So after kind of sort of the news at the beginning, we have an argument to argue, and I totally admit that I am probably going to be by myself or close to by myself with this one. So. Kshep and I were talking this week, and we found out we had completely different ideas about your vault. So first off, I have the playstyle, and I have the mindset of if I do not use an item that week, if that item is not on my character, if that item sits in a vault for more than 7 days or more than the reset, I completely delete it. Even if it is a god roll something, even if it's something I've had for a long time. I like to keep my vault as empty as possible because I don't like having things in there that are just sitting around. And those are my words. Those are my words. Those are not anybody else's. But just sitting around. Now, Kshep, on the other hand.
So if you look at your vault, you can have 108. Let's talk about weapons. Let's not talk about armor. The same. We can apply the same argument to armor, but let's just talk about weapons. You can have 108 weapons in your vault. That is in addition to the 10 of each kind of weapon you can have on each of your characters. So in theory, you can have 30 weapons on each character. That's 90 weapons on your characters, and 198 weapons you can have on your account. Well, I actually right now at the moment I think I have 201. Because I have a couple weapons in my postmaster. I've got a really good roll on a keystone that I haven't tried out yet. I haven't pulled out of my vault, and I've got an Anton's rule that I've just got to pull out in shard because it's a horrible roll, not as good as the one I have right now. So yeah, I have a full vault. So those are the two extremes.
That's an insane amount of guns.
I'm using all of my characters as like I have 2 characters that I pretty much barely ever touch, and their entire inventory is full.
Now, but see, ACB, I completely support. It's not really an argument because I completely support your approach to having just the minimal set of tools that you need to play the game. Because now, let me. Playing Destiny is a hobby, right? Photography is a hobby. If you play an instrument, if you play guitar, that's a hobby. If you do woodworking, if you anything you do is a hobby that involves gear. There are a couple different kinds of people who take part in that hobby. They're the people who can. They're the photographers who are amazing if they have a single Leica camera with a fixed lens. They're the best photographers I know of are people who just walk around with a camera like that. There are photographers who have an entire studio full. If you look at Casey Neistat, he's a filmmaker, YouTuber. Look at his studio. He's got 20 compact cameras sitting on a shelf that are all broken. He's got 6 drones hanging on the wall. But then he comes out and he does videos. He just switched over. He switched over from a Canon 80D for vlogging. Then he switched over to the Sony 8500 and A9 for vlogging, and then he switched over to the Olympus, the Panasonic Lumix, but he's comparing and contrasting this stuff. So independently of how good you are at your hobby or your profession, how good you are at the craft, how good you are at PvP, for example, I think there's another part of the hobby that is comparing the stats on gear or wanting to have the best gear. Now, I can't do that. I can't have a pole barn full of Corvettes out in my backyard. I can't have a Casey Neistat studio, but I can have 100 weapons in my vault. I can have 60 or 20 auto rifles that all have counterbalance and braced frame and the sight I want, or I can have an ex machina of each element. There's no cost to me to have that. And it's fun to pull them out and go drive them on the block, pull out the old Gibson, Les Paul clone and play that for a while instead of the Strat, or take your little compact. You should just have some people like just being the best that they can be with their one piece of gear. Other people like to have lots of gear and swap it around. So I don't think I let you make it up, let you build it up as an argument. I don't think it's an argument. You can tell me if it's an argument.
No, it wound up. It's not an argument. It wound up being an argument on our Slack channel because we weren't talking and there was just chat going out and there wasn't intention behind it. But it's not really an argument. I guess it's a mindset thing because for me, I let my vault get full in year 1 when we had absolutely 0 vault space. And that bothered me specifically because I had stuff that I was like, I'm never going to use this item. Why is it there? Why am I holding on to it? Like when we hit year 2 and all the Vault of Glass stuff, original Vault of Glass stuff was there. And then this is kind of a different topic. This is sentimental stuff versus usable stuff. Like when Ace of Spades came around to be able to get, I deleted my Fatebringer into my Ace of Spades because I didn't use that Fatebringer. And so for me, it was like, it's always weird. I understand the argument of having like 20 hand cannons because you want to see which one's the best. If the meta shifts, you can switch to it. But for me, I like playing a little bit and looking for that stuff again. Yes, it can take months if you don't get good RNG. But it's odd to me personally to have everything in there. Be like, there is going to be that weapon that you are going to look in your vault and not have used ever, but it's still sitting in there. But it may have been good, or it's something that you wanted to keep. So I understand that. It's just, to me personally, it's very weird to have that full vault. Especially, it's a whole lot easier too. If you have 100 open spots, there's no worry about having to switch a character and going to the postmaster and grabbing something and bringing it back. And it was an argument on our chat. It wasn't really an argument here. I just wanted to bring that up because I thought that was interesting this week on how we.
Yeah, I can tell you the only reason it's practical or possible is Destiny Item Manager for one. Another tool called Destiny Checklist. You just go to destinychecklist.net. It's an early fork off Destiny Item Manager that gives you a tabular view. It gives you a list view. So you can say, okay, show me my auto rifles and sort them by range. and then it lets you tag them like keep, infuse, delete this, junk it. Those two tools, and then Tower Ghost is another Chrome plugin on that. It's not really as cool. I don't like it as much for loadouts and that type of thing. But it shows you all the stats like recoil, equip speed, some of the things that are hidden in Destiny Item Manager. So if you want to get down into the nitty gritty, that's a good tool to have. And then I use Ishtar Commander on the phone if I'm sitting on the bus and want to spend 5 minutes wondering which of these three keystones am I going to really keep, because I don't need 3 keystones. I need 2, but I probably don't need 3. So which one am I going to shard?
So if it wasn't for like Dim, my vault would drive me insane, because right now I'm sitting at 99 out of 108 in my vault, and I still have the very first Fatebringer that I ever got in this game, and I still have the very first full set of Vogue armor that I got on my Warlock in this game, just because, I don't know, I felt like I put so much time and effort into getting those that if I dismantled them, I couldn't stand it, you know?
Well, I have a couple things to say. So first off, if you're in the middle of us, if you don't have a full vault, but you still have stuff in there, filling it up, Destiny Item Manager is actually starting something, I think, in the next couple of weeks, where people will be able to go to the beta of Destiny Item Manager. So just search beta Destiny Item Manager. I'm not sure exactly what the website is, but you'll be able to give a number ranking to your roll on a specific weapon. So if you go into there, you'll be able to see, this particular keystone with this roll has been rated an average of 3.5 out of 5 or a 1 out of 5. And so Dim's actually about to bring that out, so that way it may help some of those people who have a lot of items but want to get rid of some, or some of those people who have a full vault but maybe want to roll over space for another thing. And I guess it's just me. The very first exotic I ever got, I had to buy from Xur, but I bought a glass house from Xur when I was holding my son, who was, I think, 2.5 months at the time. And I was holding him in the middle of the night playing Destiny, because it was the only thing keeping me sane, because I had kids when I was finishing up school and first getting a job. And the lady I got the first job with, my coworker, is she's tough to work with. And she was tough to work with. And so like that was like my thing. I deleted that as soon as your 2 rolled around. So it may just be a me thing. So look at the dim thing. It's definitely going to help. I think it's very interesting that I guess I'm one of the odd people here. I thought I wasn't, but I guess I'm one of the odd people who doesn't have a lot of stuff in their vault.
Well, I don't think it's being odd. I think that wanting to play a Destiny PvP and wanting to be a virtual weapons collector are 2 really completely different things. And it's not one's not right. And one, I mean, some people who are PvP players might think that being the weapon collector's wrong, but I mean, I think it's cool that there are a lot of different ways to play the game, a lot of different things you can do in the game, and a lot of things to keep you entertained when all the other thing, all you could do otherwise is go on the same strikes again, over and over again.
Well, and I think the meta change that you mentioned earlier is a big part of it too, because, you know, how many times did they do a weapon update and, you know, what we had been using is now got nerfed. But, you know, now I'm like, I have a pretty good mix of stuff in my vault. If they were to ever do another weapons update, there's a pretty good chance I've probably got what's going to become the next meta sitting in my vault. And, you know, and I understand the chase of wanting that if you don't have it, but I don't know. I'm kind of, if I've got it sitting right there, I'm ready to go.
I get jealous sometimes where I'm just like, man, I had that gun like 3 months ago, but I wound up deleting it. But I play Destiny, I guess, more casually than I think I do. And so I just, like, for example, I didn't chase 400. I just got 400 like 2 weeks ago from finishing up King's Fall on the 390 version. And so I played, I guess, a little bit more casually. So I like the playing to get the new meta items, and that it's just a different kind of play style. So.
Yeah, I can tell you when they did the buff to the low rate of fire pulse rifles in the last rebalance, it was really cool to say, oh, wait a second, I've got that, that Parthian shot that's got counterbalance, hand light stock and feeding frenzy, and I've got that spare change that has counterbalance braced frame and, head seeker. Let's go try those again and see if they do anything. Or today, the auto rifle weapons bounty that's out now for the Crucible. I can't imagine just taking like the last unbent tree that dropped for me in Iron Banner and trying to get 50 kills with that. Iron auto rifles are not fun right now.
No, they're not.
But to be able to pull out this Continental that's got, counterbalance and braced frame, and we'll try that for a couple shots. No, well that sucks. That's horrible. Okay, so let's try this. Let's try the old Hakon's hatchet that had perfect balance, counterbalance. And you just shift things around, and before you know it, hey, what do you know? I got 50 kills, and I got today I got a Vision Stone for it's my first Trials weapon ever from doing that auto rifle bounty. So that was fun.
Well, I guess my way about it is, the meta change. Well, I guess I have to just use my gun that's not quite the meta until I get one that is in meta. So, I mean, it puts me at a slight disadvantage.
That's fine, too. I mean, I think the game needs a good mix of players like this. It definitely makes it more interesting. As far as players taking a while to hit 400, I like that because I like helping a player that is maybe a little bit under-leveled do something that they haven't done before, whether it be going through the raid or, finishing a challenge or something. That's what I look forward to now more than anything.
All right. Well, since we are having some very, very good conversations, I think we're going to skip our PvP segment and go on to our lore segment. So, Destiny's story. Go ahead. Okay, well,
Damn,
we
section
can.
I wanted. No, I really don't care. It's more just.
Okay, well, we can come back to that in a second if this doesn't last as long. But Destiny story, it's there. We have some story missions
somewhere.
But if you want to have the whole story, you generally have to go to Bungie.net and click on a whole bunch of virtual Grimoire cards to read up on the stuff. There are a lot of things, though, that are completely unanswered. We have no idea about. They have not said anything more than like a 2-sentence blurb on a random Grimoire card that you probably honestly don't have because you haven't looked up all the ghosts, not you guys specifically. I mean, the general you. But there's a chance there's something that either is there that you haven't seen or that they haven't fleshed out from the original story. So I guess we're going to have a segment right now. What do you want to see in Destiny 2 addressed about the story or about lore? And I know we all want more lore in game, but how could they address the specific lore things that you want in game?
Well, for me personally, I would like to see, as far as better storytelling in the game, I want to see like more cutscenes and things like that. I think one of the best storytelling games I've ever played is maybe the Uncharted series. And they do a lot of that within the cutscenes and stuff. And we didn't really have a lot of cutscenes in Destiny. There were a few later on, but I want less of the grimoire, but you can tell me a story. I want you to tell me a story while I'm standing in the game. If you have to play me a video to explain something while we're loading into an area, I'm fine with that.
Or what about like BioShock's audio logs, where you pick it up and you have the option to listen to it or listen to it again? Even if it's the grimoire card style, you can hear it.
I think that would be an interesting thing to add into the game, especially with the idea that the whole world we're exploring is like the fallout from the Golden Age, right? Like, so I feel like when you go in to explore like that underground complex on Mars or something, and you should get to hear some testimonials. Like on Venus, there's this the archive level, right? When they talk about Dr. Shin or something like that, and they talk about
who is that?
He's one of the person who was studying the Vex during the Golden Age on Venus. And
yeah, so I didn't know that until you just told me that.
So
right?
there's this there's a really really screwed up stuff when you start to read it. It's like so they realized that the Vex were capable of simulating the entire universe or entire universe around them, so that the Vex were simulating them while they were studying them. So they were simulating themselves, and it becomes like a recursive thing where they essentially stop. They don't know if they themselves are the simulation or not, and that comes into a huge part of the Vex and their what they actually are. They're like trans dimensional beings or something like that. They're specifically in our universe because of Oryx, and he basically tore a hole in our space time, and they came in, and because their own native space time, they were pretty much getting destroyed. They came into ours and tried to write themselves into the fabric of our universe, essentially. So, into our time, so that they can't possibly be destroyed without the entire universe being destroyed. Kind of confusing thing. That goes into the lore of the Vault of Glass, but I want that to be in the game and explained, like when they talk about like go back to the Vault of Glass, right? The whole Oracle thing. What is the Oracle? Well, most people don't know. They just know they die if they get marked by it. Well, the Oracle is actually a Vex supercomputer that processes your entire existence and then sends that data to the Templar, who then erases your entire existence from time. So when you're negated, you're actually negated from the entirety of time.
That's one of the biggest complaints. It's not really a
Just
complaint,
like
really, but the way I learned raids, and I'll bet the way most people learn raids, is you go in with somebody else who's done it before, and they say to you, okay, we're going to land here. You're going to stand right here so you don't get sprayed by this stuff. You're going to shoot that guy right there. And then when he goes over there, you're going to shoot him over there. Don't let these guys over here shoot you. And then you have to smash this. And there's no story. There's no rationalization or justification for anything you're doing. It's just shooting stuff. And
Right, but then what we could do is go back and listen to an audio log later, and that would say, oh, that's how I explain it. Or maybe before then, maybe you go and, for example, there's like an audio log or there's some sort of information outside about an oracle, right? About an oracle, and you're like, what's this oracle? And then you go into the Vault of Glass raid, and you're like, that's what that is. This is specifically what I'm talking about. I miss that
when I hear people explaining raids to other people. It's like, well, why is Axis teleporting? Why is Axis on this thing? Right.
Well, nobody knows, right? But that's what we're saying. They need to put that in the game, so that way you have a little more information going into it. Or if you completely miss it, you can go back and say, oh, that's why that happened. And so I guess we're talking about how we want to implement in the game. What do you want to hear more about? I know everyone wants to say the Stranger, just because that was in there for vanilla, and they literally didn't talk about it for me. What I'm most excited about, honestly, personally, is they're fleshing out the Cabal a little bit more, and we know this because the Cabal attacked the tower. I'm excited. Glenn?
Gary!
I'm excited to hear more about. I'm excited to hear more about the Cabal, because we really didn't know anything about them. We knew that essentially they were a scouting party, and they're going to now hit us with the full force of the Cabal Armada. But is there anything else that y'all are excited to learn about potentially?
Rasputin.
And that's supposed to be a DLC.
Yeah, well, that's the number one thing I'm interested in. I mean, it's the idea of this AI, essentially, right? Being around since the Golden Age. I think that as a character, like, it as a character would be the most, like, entertaining part of the game. Like, it's whatever the Stranger is, I feel like it might relate to Rasputin, but still, it seems like they mention Rasputin throughout the original story a few times, and the idea that he's this war mind who's maybe at odds with the Traveler. They mentioned, like, if you've read some of the grimoire and some of the speculation that people have talked about, I don't know how much of this is true, but the theory, a leading theory, is that the Traveler actually tried to leave us when Oryx showed up.
Fallen.
Yeah, well, it tried to leave us when Oryx showed up, like it left the Fallen. And instead, Rasputin, being the extremely smart and AI that it was, realized what would happen if the Traveler left and knew that humanity would certainly get wiped out. So it nuked the Traveler, is what they say, and the Traveler is dead because Rasputin shot it.
Yeah, Rasputin said, "Stay here, we need you."
And that's why he's damaged the way he is now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the leading theory is. So I'd like to see that fleshed out specifically. Like, what is this AI and how does he relate to the Traveler? I know we're going to learn more about that, especially because they talk about how the light's gone. And I think that's going to be like interesting. Is like, what's that big change? Oh, the light is gone, so I no longer can magically spawn a grenade in my hand every time I want to throw it. So I actually have to pick up a grenade sometimes. Maybe that's what it is. But
grenade ammo would be interesting.
Well, that's honestly what I think is going to be the difference with the new lack of light. Is you're going to have less
magical powers.
Well, you have to find new abilities. You have to find new things to do, but okay. So on this same topic, so it's going to be a DLC. We don't know exactly, or the Rasputin symbol was there, the Warmind symbol was there. So we may learn a little bit more about that. Do we want the Fallen, because the Fallen have essentially, from what I've understood, all abandoned their houses right now. Do we want the Fallen to become our allies?
Possibly. Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting because they have out of all the races, they're probably the most fleshed out culturally, and the most fleshed out historically. Well, so are the Hive, but the Hive are a little, the Hive are 100% totally evil, or the Fallen are kind of in that gray zone where they're pretty much been forced into their circumstances.
They're sort of the Traveler's jilted lovers at this point.
Yeah. Whereas the Hive are literally just, they consume because it makes, they literally live forever because they consume other species. They're basically
gods tell
evil.
Them to.
Well, their gods are fucking worms that live inside their gut that keep them alive forever. And the worms essentially will eat their entire living being if they're not fed. So they constantly eat things to maintain their power, which it's different than the Vex, who are also, because of the Hive, in our universe to save themselves. But they're also doing some things that are questionably evil.
They're not necessarily evil, but they're against us, and so that's why we have to destroy them.
We did experiments on them, and they started experimenting on us, and it's kind of been back and forth there.
Well, I think it'd be interesting to see. I heard some speculation that this could potentially happen, where we have seen all the houses disband, but there's been no mention of the House of Kings on Earth, and so House Kings might rally the Fallen. But I have heard that House Kings may be the other thing, but we may pull some Fallen adversary or Fallen people to our side. And there's always been that speculation of that Fallen Guardian, which is very unlikely, but that would be awesome.
I was just about to say, what if Varix and possibly the return of the Queen have something to do?
Well, the Queen's brother.
Yeah.
The Queen's brother is
alive,
supposed to be
right? And wasn't there a grimoire?
Yeah, he's supposed to be butting up with House Kings, I believe.
I can imagine that, you see that with the new Vault of Glass armor, they're adding the Vex parts to the armor. That's just kind of one thing. It occurs to me, and I'll file it away. But I can't think of another game where you can choose what class to play, where you have exactly as many classes as a player has characters available, so that the default is just to be one of each. And it wouldn't surprise me if in Destiny 2 you had 5 or 6 different races or beings you could be, but you can only be 3. Like,
There
you
were
can have 3
supposed
characters, but you can
to be 4 for Destiny 1. Remember, we were supposed to have the Tiger class or whatever. I've always wondered if that's going to come back for Destiny 2.
It might. Maybe though. I like the idea of a fallen. What would a tiger class do?
Well, I guess it's the race. It was a race of basically feline-like bipods, like, human-like felines. They're very early, I guess, concept art showing that.
Well, that could be interesting. I think it'd be cool to add another class in. I know that complicates the balance, especially when they go to PvP balance. But I think it'd be interesting to have another class come in. I think the easiest would be Fallen for me, just because the Fallen used to be in the line.
Well, you're mixing classes and races. I mean, in Destiny 1, the race you pick has absolutely no impact on your character itself. So, and I think they'll probably stick to that.
Would you have a Fallen Titan or a Fallen Warlock, or would the Fallen be their own thing? Because there's lore based on them, like, not having, they cut off their arms, they have to gain the ability to, like, get their forearms back. I mean, yeah, I'm mixing class and race, but would you, like I said, would you have a Fallen Titan?
I think you would if they're gonna put. Bungie seems to be very big on not like restricting things. I actually thought it was odd when they released their class-specific weapons like last year, and I think that a lot of that stuff is going to be unrestrictive. Like if you no matter which class you pick, it's going to be purely aesthetic. But you're gonna able to customize more. That's my thought, but maybe they'll put more in.
And just a new class would be fun. I don't necessarily. I know they're going to rework some of the classes, but an additional class would be pretty interesting to me. And also, personally, I want a little bit more specified roles, and I know a lot of people don't. I know a ton of people do not. But I want more specified roles where, like, Titan skating shouldn't be a thing, but Titans should have, like, max armor at all times, in my opinion. And I know they have more armor than the other ones, but I think they should have max armor at all times no matter what. Maybe this is a PvE thing, too, but anyways.
Well, and if you're bringing up, like, let's say if we have Fallen Titans, Guardians are basically born from the Traveler. So in order for a Fallen to become a Guardian, is the Traveler going to have to be reawoken? There's going to have to be some story behind that, because we can't just slap some Titan armor on a Fallen and say, "Welcome to the club, buddy."
Well, we're losing our light, and so classes could be completely reworked or completely taken away. So we could have a Fallen ally who joins us in gaining these new classes or new skills.
Yeah, that's definitely, that could happen. That would be interesting too, I think. Yeah, a lot of people have speculated that we won't have our ghosts. But I know firsthand that Nolan North is back for Destiny 2, because I talked to him at a con a few weeks ago, and I specifically asked him, "Are you coming back for Destiny 2?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm signed on for like the next 6 or 7 years." I was like, okay.
It could be flashbacks to, like, his last moment. He tells you all the advice in the world, and you have to slow it down, and that's how he's there, because you're just slowing down. He, like, tells you in 1 second, but he spoke so fast.
Mm-hmm. Let's hope.
I'm just messing.
We're gonna have Dinklebot flashbacks.
All
That's
the
what
doors in Destiny 2.
Destiny 2 is just going to basically be a reskin of Call of Duty, but you're going to have flashbacks where you go back and play with your old Guardian characters and your old weapons.
That'd be awful.
Anyways, I'm just glad for new stuff, and I guess they have an idea of what they wanted to do with the story now that they've had 3 years to do it, and so I'm just excited for what they're going to do. Hopefully in game, mostly. So
I hope so. And Luke Smith is in charge of Destiny 2. I think that he did a good job with the Taken King. That was his baby. Vault of Glass was his baby. So I'm 100% confident that even from a story side, Destiny 2 is going to knock our socks off.
well, good. My socks have needed to be knocked off for just a little bit. I mean, they brought the old raids back, and that pulled them off about halfway. So
I hope that Destiny 2 launches with just... I mean, they talk about how much it's going to launch with more content. That's just what I need is more... I want, like, the state of where we were at the... But before Rise of Iron, where you already had so much to do every week, right there. At that state, like, after the April update, when they redid the Prison of Elders, like, there was so much to do that week, every week, that you could do whatever you wanted and still get to your level 335, but there was also so much to do that you never felt like you had to go build that second character so you could go do all of your stuff, get more drops. You know what I'm saying? Like I want there to be enough in the game to do every week, if they're still going to go with the weekly reset, that I don't ever feel like I need to make a second character to get drops. Like, it's okay if you have to make a second character because you want to play a different class, but I don't want to be forced to make a second character to be able to get, say, enough drops to be level 30.
There were definitely people that had 3 Titans or 3 Hunters or 3 Warlocks just to try to get their character.
Right now, I wish I had 3 Titans right now, so I could go back into Crota and try to get some raid armor that's rolled at more than 83%.
You're getting that too, huh?
A lot of people are getting that really bad.
Yeah.
Hey, hopefully they don't bring back re-rolling.
I don't know how I feel about that.
See, I liked re-rolling a lot because it made it so that everyone was able to get like top tier. Okay, so everyone hates re-rolling because Bungie couldn't fucking balance their shit. Like, there was nothing inherently wrong with re-rolling other than the fact that it just completely opens the fact that there are broken shotguns. I mean, like, there were broken shotguns in the game before there was re-rolling. Just, there wasn't that many people who had them. But now you could actually go and try to find that broken shotgun and get that broken shotgun, like, easily and farm it, essentially. That's what became broken about re-rolling. There was nothing wrong with the idea that you can go re-roll this. It was, hey, let's put these shotguns in the game, and oh yeah, by the way, we'll put shot package on them and be able to kill them from 30 fucking feet away.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm coming from the route of I would just want to be able to play more. Rerolling to me, rerolling cut the amount of time I played per week a little bit, just because I could get that one gun and say, oh, I know I'm going to get like the best roll for it. So I'm coming from the aspect of like just needing to get drops. But yeah, rerolling's not bad. I just personally would rather get the drop than just get the one item and go spend like 20 minutes in front of the gunsmith.
Well, at the same time, though, you get that, like, how do you feel about getting that Eyes Luna that you've been trying to get for, like, okay, for me, the Eyes Luna finally dropped about a month ago for the first time, and it was complete shit. It had, like, Underdog, like...
But that's the best perk!
It had, like, Underdog, like, Usurper or whatever it was, and then, like, Rescue Mag. It was like, this thing's fucking shit. It has no range perks, and
perfect roll to me. No,
but like if I finally got one and then take it to the gun, and I can take it to the gunsmith and re-roll it to something that's viable, yeah, that's great. I think it feels so much better if I can re-roll it. Like, it's honestly, I would even be for being able to pick your perks. Like being able to take your gun and have it had absolutely no perks, and I have to go collect these items or go kill this guy or something like that to get these perks. I would rather that than the current system, which is, hey, here's an Eyes Luna, and you have about a 1 in 500 chance of it being a god roll. No. If I want a god roll, I should be able to go and there should be a point. Once I get the gun, I'm okay with getting RNG for that god roll gun to drop, specific gun to drop, but I don't want that specific gun. I don't want, oh, finally I got one. Oh, wait, it's shit, so who cares?
Well, I do like the idea you had where you needed to go out into the world to get something, because then that would make you still play the game to go get an item you need, but then you could go and, like you said, you get your gun and you could fix it to how you want it. Especially now that they've sort of balanced it a little bit more. I'm not playing how everyone else has it. I have a scout rifle that has, in the first column, it has high caliber rounds or full auto. And I choose full auto because personally I'm just lazy. But I choose full auto over the high caliber rounds. And I play a little bit differently than the meta. But I think it would be cool if you had to go get something to say, oh, this is your item to make it re-roll. And so that could work for me because
well, that's what I'm saying. I'm against. I think RNG in a game is like RNG is lazy game design in an MMO like this. Like, forcing because when Destiny first, year one Destiny was 100% RNG, and it really, really hurt the game. Like the fact that you could spend so much time in the game and still not get to what you need was extremely bad. Now that the game,
well, especially when people wanted you to have certain things.
And now that the game is like, hey, you can be 100% competitive with these with guaranteed drops, but if you want your perfect stuff, you're gonna have to farm for it. I like when people talk about like their tier 12 builds or whatnot. Tier 12 is like this thing that people circle jerk on about on the Crucible subreddit, and yes, it's nice, but at the same time, who honestly gives a fuck? Like,
I'd rather have a good gun with tier 10 than tier 12 with all crap weapons.
Yeah, it's better to have like it's better to be like say you're playing Striker. It's better to be 5 intellect, 5 discipline than it is to be like 2 intellect, 5 discipline, 5 strength as your tier 12. Like, it's more important to just get those 2 base stats that you need and get the bonus and get like 1 bonus mark on the last stat you need. It doesn't make your game. It's more important that you make better like, first of all, tier 12 doesn't mean shit outside of Crucible, because if it actually matters to you when you're playing the raid or something, you're already making terrible decisions and you need to fix that. And in Crucible, like, it doesn't make a difference. Like, it
doesn't affect you at all, hardly any.
It doesn't. Like, it's nice. It's this thing that's like, oh my god, I can max out my thing, but it's like
tier 12 is absolutely not gonna. It is not gonna make me a better player.
It's more important. It's more important to have that extra shotgun ammo on your boots or something, or extra rocket ammo, than it is to have the tier 12.
Well, you can also get a perk that will circumvent that. If you don't have good discipline, there's those perks that would be like, get a headshot with this, and your grenadier, get more grenade energy from kills or something like that.
Yeah, those are well, on the weapons, those perks aren't as useful, but grenadier's nice.
I mean, they can circumvent the tier 12 if you don't have it.
Yeah, and my whole point is that tier 12 is good, is not useful, or sorry, tier 12 is nice, but it's not necessarily perfect. And that's something that was really an issue with the Destiny year 1 Destiny stuff, and even still overall in Destiny currently, is a gun is determined whether or not it's good based on its perks, not its base stats. And and it's still an issue. They tried to fix that by like toning down the usefulness of perfect balance and a couple other things, but right now it's still like a hand cannon. It makes or breaks whether or not it has range. Like, and the same thing with an auto rifle. Like, it depending on it's what good or auto rifles and like pulse rifles, whether or not they have stability. That's what matters. If they don't have that, then they get junked automatically. Like that's a problem. Bungie needs to balance. Like perks should be extra things. Like Grenadier is a great perk, but or like
Glass
Surrounded
half
is a
full.
great perk. But I don't think I should be enforced. Yeah, those are perks. But I don't think you should be defining whether or not a gun is good or not by whether or not it has its like rangefinder or rifled barrel. That's where I say like that changes the core gunplay of the gun. Like those. Why don't you balance the guns so that they're usable without any perks, and then add things like, hey, bonus reload speed. Doesn't make much difference in the overall like kill time or the ability to get a kill, but it just changes the way you.
And then the rerolling wouldn't be, if we had rerolling, wouldn't be such a huge deal to a lot of the community, because then you'd be like, oh well, I'm just selecting ancillary perks, not the perks that make this gun usable.
So I got two things. We went from gun perks to tier 12 armor, then back to gun perks.
we just all over the place.
Stuff. If I hear, I totally appreciate these people who go around teft. Thank you, sir, for going around to every vendor on every reset day and showing us who has the god roll gear. But to say this is a perfect ghost, oh, this is only a 98% roll on a ghost. Oh, it's 1 point. It's 1 point difference. It doesn't matter on your build. It's not going to have any effect. Look at your armor. Look how much extra discipline you get from a chest, and look at how much you get from your ghost, and think about whether you care whether that ghost looks cool or is a 25 versus a 24. Okay, so anyway, on the perks.
No, you're right. The ghost is completely irrelevant in total. Like you can have a completely shit ghost, and
so
you could still be.
It'd be great
12,
to have
yeah.
If it weren't 3 months from the end of the game, it'd be great to write a really clear article about how to actually prioritize your armor pieces. And I got fire trucks going. I'm sorry. It'd be great to have some sort of article that showed people how to pick your chest, think about what you want to have for. Anyway, so that would be but on weapon perks. It's going to sound like it's out of left field, but how many of you guys played No Man's Sky?
I did.
Oh, you mean that space game that ended up having nothing in it?
Space game where basically your gun has 15 spots. If you get a good gun, it has 15 spots that you can use to add perks. And you go around and you discover different technologies, like the level 1. The corresponding thing for Destiny would be if you had 6 perk spots on your gun and you went around and you found a level 1 aim assist enhancement or a level 2 stability module, and you could just plug those in until you filled up the capacity of the gun. I hope, and I wouldn't be surprised if they just completely threw out the current perk system and went to something else where you had modularity, where you had a budget of some kind, and good perks took up more space than bad perks, and Guerrilla Fighter and Exhumed and Take a Knee didn't exist, or did exist, but they were cheap and you could throw them on, but they didn't mean you had to give up rifled barrel or usable stability.
Well, that sounds like Mass Effect. I'm playing Mass Effect Andromeda, and you get a gun, and you know it's good. It tells you Mass Effect has a 1 through 5 rating system, but you would get a gun and it would say, okay, here's how it is. And then you have a mod that says, okay, now this gun has slightly better stability, or now this gun has the ability to shoot through walls. That sounds a lot like what you're saying, and that could be really cool to have a base of a gun and then pick what you want to add on to it. Because then there'd still be a reason to review the gun. There'd still be a reason to say, oh, with this gun you want to add a stability mod. But the stability wouldn't be the end all of that weapon. You could still use it because its base would be good enough to use without any of the perks or mods or whatever.
I was going to say it's like the Division. you get even though some of the guns in the Division have certain perks that can be different on, one gun from another, but you get a gun, you add a certain magazine to it, you add a certain stock to it, you add a certain scope to it, stuff that affects stability and range and things like that. And each one of those can have multiple, stats and roles and things like that. And when I was playing the Division, I was thinking, well, what if Destiny does something like this? Instead of having perks, you get all of this stuff to actually modify your gun yourself the way you want it.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Is, as I was saying, is you need to make the guns. If I get a gun drop, it should be like, oh, cool, I got this gun, and it should feel different from the other guns I already have, but it should still be functional without perks. Because in a current state, if I get a raw legendary, it's not even worth trying out to see if I like it until I put all the motes into it and it's fully leveled up. It's not even worth testing out until you level it up fully. And that's a problem. Like, a gun shouldn't be completely defined on its perks. Well, actually, sorry, it's not completely defined on its perks because there's certain guns that are absolutely awful regardless of whether you get the right perks.
Zalu's Bane.
Yeah, Zalu's and both of the hand cannons from the gunsmith are absolutely awful. All three of them, they're absolutely awful, and don't even bother worrying about them. If you have the packages, just get rid of them.
You get a god gun, and it's exactly the perks you want. It's got counterbalance and explosive. But I can't see anything out of this freaking site. The scope. I can't. Isn't there a space Walmart where I can go to the gun counter and buy another scope and put it on the thing? I mean, it's just.
Gunsmith needs to be an actual gunsmith.
It'd be cool if you could. Yeah, that would be cool if you could disassemble your revolver and change out the barrel and the cylinder and the bore. That'd be cool. But what we're talking about. I guess we kind of deviated towards the Crucible. It's
that's fine. That's fine.
If I'm in the Crucible, and first of all, as a Crucible player, I define whether a gun is good or not, or whether or not I would use it in the Crucible. So. The only a small exception being certain sniper rifles I will keep if they're good for PvE. Yeah, or anything, or I have one of the sniper rifle. I think it's an LDR that has speed reload, what's it? Clown cartridge and that speed reload perk. If the magazine's empty, reloads faster if the magazine's empty.
Oh, spray and play.
Spray and pray. So it has that, and it's it absolutely wrecks in DPS, especially if anyone. Anyways, but back to what I was saying, it's I define a gun whether or not I would use it in the Crucible. So if I get this hand cannon, and I tell my friend, and I look at it and be like, yeah, it's trash. Bye. It takes. I look at those perks, and that's what matters. Or for the most part, if I get a gun that I know might be viable, I have to look at the perks to determine whether or not I would use it. And same thing with the shotguns. You get a Matador 64, it's oh my god, I finally got a Matador 64, oh my god. And then, oh shit, it doesn't have range, it doesn't have rifled barrel or reinforced, well that goes in the garbage. And it's, or you get a, one of them, what was that pulse rifle? The Clever Dragon. Oh, it doesn't have stability perks? Oh, that goes in the garbage. Or high caliber rounds. Or high caliber rounds, oh, that's dead. It shouldn't be, I need these perks in order for the gun to be viable. It's this gun should be okay regardless of the perk, even if I don't get the perfect set of perks, which is the problem, because right now, it's not. There needs to be some variability in the guns, but at the same time, what they need to vary is they need to verify, how it recoils, how it looks, how many shots are in the chamber, how fast it reloads, or how fast it fires. But they don't need to change. They can't be changing whether or not you can kill somebody. It shouldn't be this hard cutoff like it is with hand cannons right now. It's hey, if I don't have a hand cannon that has 60 range, it is completely and totally worthless, which is pretty much right now what it is. If you don't hit the range cap or within 5 points of the range cap, it's not even worth using as a hand cannon. Like that's what it is. Like you can't use any of the, like, they wonder why no one uses the low impact hand cannons. It's because there isn't a low impact hand cannon in the game that can hit 50 range. And
they're usable, but you're at a severe disadvantage.
they're usable as in I might be able to pull off a 1.0 with it, but I'm severely handicapping myself, and I'll do significantly better if I use an actually decent hand cannon. Like, there's literally zero reason to use it, considering that you, first of all, have to get 2 headshots in order to get a 3-shot kill, and it still has a shorter range. And because it's less impact per shot, you're now even going to be more likely to have a 4-shot kill because your damage per shot's less. So, like, there's no reason to use it. And they did this with the hand cannons. There's a lot of complaints on the hand cannons, and there's a couple reasons of why hand cannons are so good, and mostly it comes down to the actual gameplay of Destiny, where hand cannons are the way to be able to produce like large burst damage, whereas most other guns you have to do continuously. And so with a hand cannon you can like pop shot people, whereas like an auto rifle you have to be staring at them in your sight the entire time you're shooting at them.
Well, all right, guys. We jumped all over the place, which is pretty good. We went from lore, went into some PvP. I think we're getting pretty close to the end. Does anybody have any last thoughts of anything we've talked about tonight? Any last comment?
No, I'm just ready for May 18th.
Yeah, I'm trying to finish that book. I'm at 80% right now, and as soon as I am done, I like, it's been a fun time with you guys, but I'm probably gonna put Destiny away, and I'll see as soon as I'm done my book. I can say this: I'll see you guys on September the 8th.
Well, one thing I'd say is that all the people who've been playing for 3 years and are all 400 and all their gears maxed out, and they've done every raid 4 times. Lore and a lot of the other people who put Epic together also have the raid rookies group on the 100, and I think it'd be really cool if everybody, like all the Epic folks who have raided forever, would go into the raid rookies. There are people who are just picking up the game still now, getting it for their birthday or getting it for Christmas and revisiting it or picking it up again after all the Destiny 2 hype. And if it'd be really cool if we could, I need to be better about this too, going and creating games in the raid rookie group, joining normal mode raids if we can to help out, and just help return the favor and help build the community the same way that we got brought into a community and supported and brought along.
Yeah, for sure.
So
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Well, I'm actually doing some of that for PvP, and I will tell you, I've never been to the Lighthouse. I don't like those 3v3 modes because I haven't spent the time to be a decent player with those. But I'm a pretty decent player. Like, I'm top like 6% on Destiny Tracker for Kate, and this is Kate kills, deaths, and assists. But I'm pretty decent. And so I'm starting a thing on Sunday night where the people who have a lower KD or a lower kind of skill in Crucible are going to join me and a couple others in kind of going over some things for Crucible. So I'm doing that with some of our clan members. And so that's what's going to keep me going. But I completely understand those people who are like, I'm just done. We've done everything. We've done everything that we can do. And so I'm doing the PvP side, even if I'm not the best person. We're going to do acbtheman's Sunday night tips and tricks for being just above mediocre. And I think that's all we can ask for until Destiny 2 comes out.
I'm on part of your group for that, and it looks like it's going to be fun. And the thing about, and honestly, this goes into my rant about the way they changed the Lighthouse in Destiny 2, or in Year 2. And honestly, in year 2, it's so fucking hard to get to the lighthouse for an average player. It's almost impossible, especially because the amount of players in the trials pool will decrease every single week. And
and on Xbox One is less just because we technically don't have the exclusives.
yeah, and you're gonna always get you're gonna be in this position where only the top like 10% of players will ever get to the lighthouse that week. So if you're not in the top 10% of players, you're never gonna get to the lighthouse, and that's just that's just how it is. If people are fighting for the lighthouse, you have 8 games and you can only drop one of them to get to the lighthouse. So that means that only 1 in every 10 people is going to get there. It's roughly. It ends up being a little more than that, but yeah. In the way they've done it is because they've made it no longer connection based and it's now based on wins before connection. It means that you run into these teams that are so good at 7 and 8 wins and 9 wins that just will absolutely stomp you unless you're actually good.
When you get that far, it's basically just streamers versus streamers. They've at 5 wins, you've weeded out everyone who's just playing for the bounties.
Yeah, they're fighting each other to carry other people to the lighthouse. And if you really want my opinion and you want to go to the lighthouse, your best bet is to go get a job at minimum wage, make $20 there, take that $20 and pay a streamer to take you to the lighthouse. Because that is the most time-efficient way you are going to get to the lighthouse.
Well, donate to a streamer.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Donate. I know. I'm being.
But that's what it's gonna be. If you want to get to the lighthouse, your best bet is just to pay for it. Because honestly, only the top 10% of people are gonna get there, and you can't. Everyone cannot be the top 10%. So it's like you can put all your effort in there. And this, by the way, when I say top 10%, I mean top 10% of people who are playing trials, which are already the top 1% of people playing PvP. So, unless you're in that, like, very tiny tier of players, you're not going to get to the lighthouse, like most people aren't. Like, first year, it was so easy to get to the lighthouse if you were a, like, top 25% player. It wasn't hard if you had a decent team and decent teamwork. Now, because of the streamers and the way that the basically it works as a tournament, you're not going to be able to get there unless you can actually beat these people who literally put up 3.0s every game.
Basically, the people whose job it is to get to the lighthouse.
And I don't like to be mean against other people, and I feel like bad saying this, but the fact is, the best use of your time is to pay somebody to get you there.
At some other point, there could be a conversation about why you'd want to pay somebody to take you to the lighthouse. What kind of accomplishment? No, but I mean, why you'd want to do that? Why do you want? You're just buying gear. You're buying gear that somebody else earned for you.
Yeah, I mean, the big reason is because you want the note on the record book at this point, or just having the grimoire.
Somebody else did it for you. You paid them to do it for you.
No, I agree. But at the same time, it's just one of those things that takes so much time that it's just not worth it for you. Like, is it worth it? Like, when you're working on your car, yes, some people enjoy working on their car and fixing everything. But when your engine needs to be rebuilt, do you buy every single piece of equipment that you need to take apart your car and put it back together? Or do you just bring it to the mechanic and pay a fraction of what it would cost you? That's maybe to me it's I guess the opportunity cost of it. And after looking into it and trying to get there, I have multiple wins year 1 lighthouse games. Like, of course, it only for year 1 it only tracks the amount of weeks you've been to the lighthouse, which I think is like 3 or 4 for me, because then I stopped really trying. Or my team stopped trying to play that. But anyways, after this, like this season, like year 2 and 3, it's honestly not worth the effort. Like, first of all, the rewards are mediocre at best. Like, yes, the pulse rifle is really good, but it's not that good compared to something else you can get. It's not the best gun in the game. Yes, it's a cool looking gun. Yes, it's pretty good. Other than that, the only thing that's even close to being worth it is the sniper rifle, which you can just get from the bounties now. So the only reason to want to go to the lighthouse is to say you went to the lighthouse, which if you didn't actually earn it, who cares anyway?
That was the angle I took. But I mean, I'd kind of like to go to the lighthouse too, and I paid $30 to go to the lighthouse. It'd be neat, and I've never been there, and it'd be kind of cool. So I'm having the same argument with myself about whether I should try to earn it or just go.
It's a pride thing at that point.
It's a pride thing, but at the same time, it is worth getting better at PvP, whether or not you want to go to the lighthouse. So maybe one day you can take yourself there, or whatever. You can stand a chance of getting there, and so
No, I agree that it's good to get better at PvP. My just point is that anyone listening to this, I don't want to be mean or anything. I mean, I haven't gone to the lighthouse in year 3, so I can say this and say you are wasting your time if you're doing all this training, expecting it to get you to the lighthouse before Destiny 2, because with every passing week, that bar to get to the lighthouse is higher and higher and higher. And it's good to get better at PvP. It'll make Iron Banner a hell of a lot more fun and a hell of a lot easier if you're able to carry your team. But
I'll say something about Iron Banner. Play better, either be better or play with somebody who completely sucks.
Yeah, that too. That's a separate issue that needs to be fixed. But yeah, it's. I don't want to be pessimistic and put people down, but I'm being realistic in my position.
And that's still helping people because you're still giving the people people are very upset they can't make it to the lighthouse, but you're telling them, don't worry, you can be good at PvP and not get to the lighthouse, and there are plenty of things to do. I mean, you're still telling them, you're not being pessimistic. You're saying, hey, that's one facet of the game you may not happen. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal.
So. You can be top 10. You can be top like 1% of the game and still struggle to get to the lighthouse, because that's what it takes. It's not just being good at the game. It's being good at elimination and being good and having two teammates who are good at the game. Because if you look at any of the streamers, you can ask like Grenadier Jake specifically. He's like the most popular lighthouse streamer, right? I'm sure most of you guys have heard about him, but he streams like all day, Friday through Monday, and carrying people to the lighthouse. And he only does single carries, which, if you don't know what that means, it means that he's him and somebody else he refers to as his rock. They're really good players, and then he gets some random dude who's like an average or worse player. They carry to the lighthouse, or even a good player. And he comments is like, yes, this is a lot easier with a good player, if you've watched him. But it takes a lot of effort, especially when you get somebody who literally is like a 0.5 KD player. He's carrying the lighthouse. By the time they get to like win 4 or 5, that player is literally useless.
Maybe making callouts.
And maybe making callouts that they probably don't even understand where they are.
Well, and that's what we're going to try to help out a little bit. And I mean, I'm not guaranteeing that you're going to go to the lighthouse after you work with me on Sunday, but you'll think about some things that can get you a little bit better. And guys, I'm sorry to have to do this. We're getting a little bit of storms here, and I'm needing to wake up in about 8 hours. And so I think we're going to have to call it fairly soon. Did you have something else to say real quickly about the Crucible or anything like that?
No, I think the Crucible thing is going to be fun, and I look forward to it. My favorite thing to do is the Crucible, so I will be there tomorrow night, and I look forward to it.
Well, we're just gonna take a couple people and hopefully just give some tips and some things to think about. But anyways, for all listening, this has been Epic Radio number 4. I don't exactly remember who said they streamed, but does anybody have any plugs they want to?
Yeah, that was me, Animal Chin. If you want to check out my stream, I'm at twitch.tv/animalchin. That's chin with 2 N's. And I'm usually streaming every evening, so yeah, stop by, hang out.
All right, and you're probably watching this right now on the Fat Guardians YouTube channel. We're going to try to get a Radio Epic SoundCloud, so that way we can have it less pointed towards one specific channel and more pointed towards the Epic group. But just continue to keep watching Fat Guardians everywhere you can. Anybody else got any last things to plug or to say?
I think it was a good having random people on this week, and I think you should. I think next week you should bring on some new people onto the podcast because I think it gives you a lot of perspectives.
All right. Well, you guys here, if you're listening and you are part of Clan Epic and you would like to be on this, feel free to hit me up. If you guys on here want to hit us up again, feel free to. We'll be more than happy to have everyone on here. Right now, and this is just, I think this is just going to be a little bit easier. If you're not quite in Clan Epic, go to the100.com/group, or just check out the100.com or group 1412. We're Clan Epic on the100.com. You can find us on Reddit. You can find us a couple different places. Join that, then you can join this. I think it's just going to be easier than pulling people from the outside. But feel free to hit us up if you're part of Clan Epic, or even you guys who are in here, and we'll be happy to chat Destiny. So
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks.
no problem.
It was fun.